you, enabled you to do what you could not have done otherwise?
We claim our foundation is the foundation of miracles. So I'm going to have Susan, I'll give you 10.
We've had a lot of miracles, and some of them are small miracles, and some of them are big miracles. And I think the saving of children is probably our biggest miracle, to be able to help save these babies. And one time Gordon was in a little town in Guatemala, and there was a child that really needed desperately to go to the hospital, and they didn't think the child would live, and so they were rushed down to the hospital, and I say hospital kind of in quotes because it was a medical facility, and but it was the best that was there. And he brought the child in, and the doctor said, kind of shook his finger at Gordon and the other lady that was with him and said, "You have got to bring these babies in sooner." He said, "Had you waited one more hour, this child would not have survived." And to think that things clicked, that we ran and got Gordon off of another project to take him down. It was an hour to get to this facility, and they hopped in the car and brought the sister to take care of the baby, and we just felt like it was a miracle that yes, we were down there in time to save this child's life. And the baby is now like 3 years old, running around, and is a healthy little boy. But we feel like he's one of the miracle babies.
Mm-hmm. His name is Rinaldi. I'll never forget that, Rinaldi. And I saw him a year later, and he was running around the place, and just like he owned the place. It was just a delight to see little Rinaldi. He was a live little character. I'll give you one of our most recent sort of fun miracles. We had a dentist from Cedar City that wanted to go to Ecuador and work with Dr. Zambrano. I was a dentist. And so I says, well, I'm in St. George. Why don't you let me meet with your family? Because he's going to take his whole family in his office. Let me tell you how we do this Ecuador thing with dentists. So we sat down, we talked it all out, and then I looked over at the wife before leaving and says, well, what do you do in Cedar City? And she says, well, I work with the deaf. And I says, well, really? And then I just thought, Dr. Soprano had sent me over the internet a picture of a little girl that had the cochlear implants, and the batteries had gone dead, and the wires were worn out. And the girl basically couldn't go to school anymore because in Ecuador, they don't entertain that kind of a student. Mm-hmm. So the little girl was not getting to school. So I thought, oh, that's this lady. So I turned to her and I says, I've got a little girl in Ecuador, where you're going. And she has this issue, and I says, she's got something behind her ear and then some wires. And she says, stop. She says, look at my 10-year-old son sitting right beside you. And he turned his head to the side. He had exactly the same thing. And she says, I've just replaced those batteries and the wires. I've got the old batteries and the old wires that are still good because these are sort of more modern stuff that he's got on his head now. She took them down, and the little girl's back at school. And she sort of, this mother sort of adopted this little girl to help her in the future so that when she needs stuff, they just write him and we'll get him down. That was, I mean, why did I ask that question? Why was that mother sitting there knowing that she is an expert in that particular? I was just a little messenger from God to help that little girl down in Ecuador.
Exactly.
If I don't go to bed at night with a smile on my face, I failed the day, because I went to bed that night and had the biggest smile. It lasted for about 2 or 3 days. It still lasts, because tonight now I can think, hey, I just told that story. I'll smile again.
Fantastic. Well, what advice or counsel, admonition would you give to potential volunteers, members of the church who hear about these projects? They don't know whether they should go on them or not. Maybe they're a little bit apprehensive. Going to a country like Mexico or DR, Guatemala is a little bit dangerous, a little bit primitive. What advice would you give to people who are a little bit apprehensive?
Well, we understand those concerns and those fears. And what we've tried to do is that when we have a family, especially a family, that wants to explore the idea of going, we try and actually sit down with them in their house and answer all of those fears. And there's no way that we can promise them that they're not going to get murdered, they're not going to get kidnapped, they're not going to be held for ransom, they're not going to starve to death. Well, we can promise them that they won't starve to death. But I think just sitting down with them and saying, we've done this for 25 years, we've never had an incident even close to what you're fearing. Water. What about the water? Well, I say they drink purified water down there. They don't even drink out of the tap. So the water situation is handled. You can get water anywhere. And then whenever I get mothers that go down to Tijuana or anywhere in Mexico or anywhere in any other countries, at the end of the 10 days, I will take the mothers off to the side and tell me, were you scared? Did you have any fears? Was there anything that really was upsetting to you? I have yet to have a mother tell me. She says, most of the mothers will use the wording, I don't know what they're talking about on all these fears. We had no fear at all with our family and what we were doing down here. So I think the media really blows it way out of proportion. It's crazy. Our locals down there, we had a place that we were staying in a certain part of Tijuana. It's called Miramar. And I called my contacts, boots on the ground in Tijuana, and says, I've got a group coming down in August. Can we stay there? And they says, well, we wouldn't recommend you stay in the neighborhood in Miramar where you normally stay. We'll have to find another place. And I says, what's up? Well, there's some druggies that have moved in or are renting a house. And the cops know they're there. And the cops are going to scare them away. But right now, it's a dangerous neighborhood because of this. So we'll find another place. And then about 6 months later, I call them back up and say, yep, the cops chased them out. And they're no longer there. And you can stay in the neighborhood again.
And I think that is the key, is because we have built up a relationship of trust with people that are there. And they know that we're not there to scam people. They know that we have an honest heart and we're willing to work hard, that we are not expecting some kind of big thing from them, that we're honestly going there with one purpose, and that is to help. And so when you have built up a base of people that trust you, they look after you. And so when we go, we know that they are looking after not only Gordon and I, but the people that we gather and bring. And it is interesting, in Guatemala, for instance, one of the fellows that work for us, he says a lot of people send money. There's people who send money, but nobody comes and works like you. And he says, we love you because you come and you put your arms around the people. And we know that you love us because you're here and you are willing to help. So I think that the thing is that you have to build this organization of trust, that you're not out to scam anybody, that you have an honest desire to serve, that those people that you work with, that they know you have an honest desire to work and to serve, and that you're there for no other reason. You're not there to toot your own horn. You're not there to scam somebody else. You're simply there to do service as we are asked by the Savior. We're there to serve and work. It's not a vacation. It is not recreation. It is not a cruise. It is not Disneyland. We're there to work. And that is the difference. They see what you've done. They see over, it takes a while to build that kind of trust and foundation.
We had one volunteer say, when we go with you, you're making us do hard things. And I tell the volunteers, this is hard. I have been known to, in a facility where they have hot water, I'll turn the hot water off. They can't have hot showers. I have been known to turn off the water to the toilet tank so that they have to use a bucket. And I've had college kids, what's that bucket for? Well, it's to flush the toilet. Well, how do you do that? I mean, we're there. To me, the harder it is, the more memorable it is, and the more they appreciate what they've done.
They're having a teaching experience about life in the United States.
Yeah.
They know that.
So this is also, among other things, it's good missionary preparation for some of these young men.
It is.
I had one father from, I think it was Lehigh, and he was bishop of a Mormon church. And he called me and he says, I've got a son that's getting ready to go on a mission. And he says, he's never been out of the United States. And he says, I want you to take him on an expedition. I want you to make it as hard as you can make it. And sure enough, I did. And I saw the kid just a year ago, and he so appreciated that trip that he went with us before he went on his mission, because he says it helped me deal with hard things.
Exactly.
And also, the thing that I see too is so many times people say, oh, you're going to go on a mission and you're going to go this place and they're going to be so different and you'll eat all of these different things. What we try to do is say that you're going to be with people and it doesn't matter. You may go to this place or that place, but they all have basic needs. They all want to be loved. They all want to have their basic needs met. And they don't need to be scared to go. They don't need to be afraid of other people and see how different they are. What we try to do is see what is similar about us all. We're all the same. We all have those same desires. And it is comforting for them to know that, they're going to go across this yellow line, which is a border, but those people on this side of the yellow line are the very same as people on this side of the yellow line. And they need to know and love those people. And I think that fear we're able to approach and attack as well.
Great. I appreciate that. So in ending, just since we've been kind of talking a little bit about the value of work and how it helps, why don't you just share what you shared me a few minutes ago about your project in Dominican Republic with building the home for the man without legs?
Right. A man had elephantitis and had both legs removed. So he was basically scooting around on the ground. He had a wheelchair that he could move. He had a donkey that he rode to go far distances. And they asked us if when we were down there, if we'd build him a house. So we found out that the house would cost $6,500. That's a lot of money to us to put in one place. So as his volunteer says, we can do it. So we come up with the $6,500. As soon as I get there, I dish out the $6,500. And then they go off and buy the materials. Then they have the materials delivered. And then all of a sudden, we show up with 18 volunteers. And we start hauling blocks down to the work site. Then we started mixing cement. We started hauling the mud down to the work site. They had professionals there laying the block. Well, we helped them the whole week there. And it was hard work. It was hot and humid. And the blocks were heavy. And they were heavier than a normal cinder block, as I noticed.
Yeah, there were three truckloads of block. And they had his friends and people from the community also were there and helping. And so we had volunteers, our volunteers and their volunteers were all working together. And
Susan decided that instead of each one of us hauling a block or 2 blocks, she says, let's make a human chain. So we had people scattered all down the hillside, handing a block, handing a block, handing a block. And it helped, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
You were so smart.
Yes.
You were very smart.
That's why you have to have a woman on a project.
That's right.
But anyway, go ahead and tell them what.
Well, anyway,
they said.
at the end, as we finished the project and we were on our way home, the people that were the boots on the ground that were in the DR wrote me and says, just to let you know, the people that were in charge of the project mentioned to me many times they were so pleased to see us there helping move the block and mix the mud and haul the mud, because most times the people just come in, slap the money down, and say, we hope you enjoy the house, and they walk away and never help at all. And that to me is part of our success. I got to tell you one other story that I've learned in this, is that I had a construction guy here from Salt Lake go down. He and his buddy were going to go down with his kids, and they brought nail guns. And I don't know if you know what a nail gun is,
Yeah.
but one guy runs the nail gun. And about halfway through the week, I says, I don't want these nail guns here. Go put them away. I want that kid and that kid to smash his thumb. I want him pounding nails. And so we've told our people, no more nail guns. We want them with hammers in their hands, and those kids missing nails and pounding nails and hitting it wrong, and that whole experience. Learning. Yeah.
Learning to build.
Learning by doing.
Learning by doing.
Well, thank you so very, very much. You're a great example of humanitarian service. You're great leaders, great mentors to me, and I wish you the best in all the future endeavors.
We wish you the best and continue to let us help.
Thank you.
Yep. Love it.
Thank you.
Okay.